What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Fast 40 NASCAR Breakdown. My name's Kevin Allen, aka The Geek from DFS Army, and I've got the NASCAR expert extraordinaire with me, Taco, to break it all down. It's Sonoma. It's a road course, so we got a lot of specifics going on. And Taco, fresh off a nice little takedown yesterday in Xfinity, Chrome Horn. Nice work, Taco.
Hell yeah. Liking the new Sonoma so far.
I always love seeing more than one helmet at the top of the leaderboards. Listen, is that the biggest win I've ever seen? No, but that's what the payout was.
That's what you can get for Xfinity, man. They need to show Xfinity some more love.
They do. They really do. You got
or been good this year.
Or you got to focus in on that $10 con. I was looking good yesterday until what? Wait, Allmendinger crashed. Like I was looking great, and
there was a pile up. There's like a Daytona wreck.
Is that what happened? I was like, man, it was so uneventful. I'm like in fourth place in the 10, climbing my way up, and then it all went to shit. But Xfinity is always just the appetizer. NASCAR the main event. So let's get right into it, Taco. Tell me about today's track. What do we need to know?
So this thing was just repaved not too long ago. It was this year. The whole thing redone. So what I'm seeing is some big line movement, and we're seeing a lot of the older guys kind of fall off. Like we're looking at Hamlin 35-1. Truex, who has won here like 3 times recently, fell all the way to like 15-1 after opening as like the most expensive guy, the favorite, what have you. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's looking like a completely new track, but it's definitely going to be wildly different for these guys. It hadn't been repaved over 20 years. So whenever we go to a repave, we got to kind of, move our expectations to the side. And, we look at this race last year, there were no stage breaks, and that ended up being kind of a catastrophe. They ended up getting rid of the whole no stage break thing by the time the playoffs came at the Roval, because the races just weren't very good. It was like green flag the entire way. Yeah, so this year we're going to be having, the stage breaks back in there, and there should be a few more cautions thrown here than at your larger, like 3 or 4 mile road courses. This is one of the smaller ones. It's 2 miles. And we haven't been to the road courses much this year. We've been recently just going to intermediate track after intermediate track after intermediate track. It's been nice. Had some good form to look at. All we have to look at this year is Circuit of the Americas, which is kind of not a wildly different track. It's still a road course, but I mean, that was in the beginning of the year. It's never been like the cleanest race or anything, but it's kind of all we have to go off of. So, this week we're going to be looking pretty heavily at line movement, the odds, practice times. We did a practice session, but it was 2 days ago at this point. And I kind of like looking at yesterday's qualifying rounds. I added that to the research station as well here. Specifically looking at round 1, I think it's a really good indicator of who has that speed, because single lap speed here actually is pretty freaking important. Be able to haul it around here is where like an intermediate track we'd be way more focused in on like the 10, 15, 20 lap averages. They're not as important here as just being able to get out front, because once you're out front on this this new surface here, you can kind of just hang for a while. It's kind of what we saw in the Xfinity race until things got really fucky.
That's classic Xfinity, though. Just things find their way to get a little funky.
Yeah.
On occasion. Let me ask you this. So I'm looking at the win odds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm comparing them to the practice times, and there seems to be a lot of similarities here. So were these odds just affected massively? Like Christopher Bell, for example, was terrible in practice. Therefore, he's now 31-1. I mean, what moved these odds?
Yeah, he opened at 18. Yeah, I can tell the odds are being heavily influenced by practice and qualifying, like heavily, because kind of all we have to go off of. I mean, they're going to be set originally off of just who's good at Sonoma, who's good at road course racing generally. I mean, we know guys like Allmendinger, do significantly better here than at like any other track type. So you kind of know our guys, right? Who most people know who are good at the road courses. Although I will say with it used to be we'd go to Sonoma and Watkins Glen. Those are the only two road courses we ever went to. So a lot of these older drivers are, used to the standard Sonoma. Is one of the ones I really focused on. But now that they've added all these extra road courses we go to, like Circuit of the Americas, Road America, the Daytona road course, Indianapolis road course, Charlotte Roval, et cetera, Chicago thrown in there. We've got so many more road courses that these younger drivers have a lot of experience, and they're getting pretty good at road course racing. Some of the races that we've been to this year where we saw the old guard do really well, particularly at tire wear tracks. It's kind of flipped on his head this week. It seems like the older guys are kind of not where you want to be. A lot of these younger guys, like Ty Gibbs, for example, seems like clearly the best JGR Toyota of the bunch. Kind of favoring the younger guys this week.
Let's go over to the rating gained. Mm-hmm. So you said we kind of know who's good at road courses, but I don't necessarily know that.
Yeah.
So I want to see it.
I'll explain it for you, definitely.
Yeah, I want to see it metrically here. So there was a great stat on the research station, driver rating gained versus, in this style of track. I think it is. So where am I finding that tab? And
we're just looking at next gen stats overall. It's right there, staring right at it.
I mean, I'm
game versus some of the drivers.
Driver
guys like AJ Allmendinger popping off. Tyler Reddick, he's been the best at this track type since we switched to the next gen car. It was Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's still very good overall, but yeah, like long term, yeah, Chase is the best of anyone here. Truex as well, but in the next gen car, it's been Reddick, it's been Allmendinger. Buescher has been insane. He's had 12 straight finishes of 11th or better at road courses, so he's in the mix there. Michael McDowell, he's wrecked out of the last three, but before that, he was, even in those races where he's wrecked out, like he's been really, really good.
So is this about right? Buescher, Allmendinger, I just sorted by next gen rating gained. And is this giving us a bit of an eye on like who has been better and road and who's bad in them? Berry.
Yep.
Right.
At the bottom, you'll see
Suarez, terrible.
Two more poached Australian supercars drivers in the hunt to look for the next SVG, as he popped off and won again yesterday.
Will Brown and Cam Waters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, here we go.
Get some third cars out there for RCR and RFK.
SVG did great, but the Italian fellow did not.
Yeah.
Can't remember his
name. He was like a kid.
Can't remember his name. All right. So we got a little bit of that. Let's take a look at a special, let's call it, sheet that you've pulled up where you've kind of just looked at the general results of these road courses. We love average by finishing position. This kind of lets you know if you want to be playing, and I am seeing some crazy numbers here. I can't wait for you to explain this one. Mm-hmm. But this sheet here lets you know, hey, am I playing guys from the back, from the front? Who scores well? Is this one of those tracks where you want a leader? Do you want or somebody starting in the front? Do you want to play stiff guys? And Taco, my first glance is, man, this shit's all over the place, dude. What is going on here? There is no real difference at all in scoring based on where you're starting. What the hell's going on?
Yeah, so it's kind of a battle between there only being 100 laps in this race, which would imply that place differential will be very important. That's going directly against the fact that the good road course racers are going to qualify up front. So it kind of evens out the scoring a bit. And you also notice if you look at the averages by season, average driver rating, that usually is way, way more linear. The advantage just isn't there because it's more about who's good at specifically at the road courses than just like overall skill. Because you've got guys that are, week to week are going to be at the very top, like Denny Hamlin or Logano. Kind of exception this week with Logano, but guys like Keselowski, Blaney, a lot of these guys are good typically, but at road courses, that's never really been their thing. Same with Kevin Harvick. So it's more of a specialized skill set they're looking at this week. And yeah, this goes back to these are just all the road course races in the next gen car. Not including the Chicago street race. That was kind of weird. Yeah, you can see the scoring is just sort of all over the place. You want to come from the top 20 typically, and coming from the back of the top 20 is pretty good because usually the guys starting in the rear are starting there for a reason because they fucking suck. But we have seen that anytime there's a really good driver that starts in the rear, it's the same for Xfinity as well. If there's a really good driver starting from the rear, they almost always hit.
Yeah, less likely to have a car destroying wreck on these road courses compared to, let's say, a super speedway or something like that. Even though they're pretty big, my recollection of seeing these is a lot of spinouts. A lot of stuff like that where, there's these big grass patches. You're not necessarily always smashing a wall.
Yeah, and a lot of the carnage at these tracks don't involve a caution being waved at all. It's usually people spinning out by themselves and having to wait and get back out there. But it's also a lot of recoverable stuff. Like if you serve a pass-through penalty here, it's not really the end of the world. There's no way you're going to lose a lap. And that's especially true, like the even bigger ones. But it's not the end of the world. Is where if you're at Bristol or something and you have to do a pass-through penalty, you're just cooked. So it's a different flavor of carnage, as I like to say.
Is it really hard to, and we're going to go to the historical tab in a second, but is it really hard to pass other cars?
So you'll notice off the rip, Truex kind of, for the most part, he defined this race as he has the 3 highest scores here, but the scores aren't really that high overall. Never going to see anyone score past 80.
Only so
really
many.
50 is the target number you want to go or you want to look for with most of your guys, and like 30, 40 for your value guys, your deep value.
Wait, classic taco. You included like every race ever. Let's go to recent races.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to do that because this is one we only go to once a year.
Yeah. So, but I mean, let's see the last couple. So we'll get a sense.
Now this race in 2023 was without the stage break, so it's gonna definitely racing a lot differently than this week should. It's like the mid pack. You notice the mid pack is just kind of really strong, is where a lot of other tracks you'd see just the guys at the very front and the guys in the back kind of come together. Here it's the middle of the pack actually does perform really well from a fantasy scoring perspective.
8, 12, 7. What I'm not seeing is starting first kind of hanging around up here, but what I do see is low scores, like you said, 59, 55, 47. So a situation where a lot of play stiff does, just getting the play stiff most definitely does put you in firm discussions for the winning lineup. Potentially, like you don't really have to lead laps here. It looks like a 45, which is kind of, if we had a guy starting 27th and finishing 10th, that's kind of what that pays. So
yeah, and the top 5 finishers are 5 of the 6 highest scoring guys. It's really about nailing who's going to finish well.
Yeah, finishing position in 2023 was everything. Let's take a look at 2022. Same exact scenario, Taco. Oh, don't use that tab. Too many. Shit. Where am I? Okay, hold on. Let's go back to that. Finishing first, fourth, second, fifth, and then you got your 22 to 10th place guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But first, fourth, fifth, first, second, fourth, fifth. Let's see.
You're not seeing deep place differential like at all, really. Scoring well.
Look, the third place guy did not make the sort of highest score because he started in fourth, right?
He just ran there all day. Yeah.
Just was sitting there the whole time. Busher hanging around third, goes second. So Austin Cindric, what? This is a nightmare.
Cindric's always been Cindric's always been a good road course guy.
Reminds me of last week. What a nightmare.
I guess I deserved that. I had that coming just for being such a big Austin Cindric hater. I will still say that Tim Cindric rigged the race.
The classic Fast 40 unfriend. And at the very end, I'm like, please don't be Cindric in first. Anybody but him. No, it was him. I was like, man, I cannot believe it. What are the chances? If we go back to 2021, going back a few races, that's where there were a couple of place diff guys who put up some pretty big scores. But again, this is, what I'm seeing in this race was, yeah, they did it, but these are Studley names. So you had kind of elite drivers starting 30th and 29th, Chastain and Busch at that time, especially. And that's what got you those giant scores again. So it looks like Kurt Busch. How about Kurt Busch race?
Yeah, and that is when we go into that last generation of car and the results start becoming a little different.
Yeah.
They'll be able to phase those out soon as we get some samples. It's just these tracks we go to only once a year. Kind of makes it a little obnoxious. I wish we could go to these different tracks, like all of them, like twice a year, get some sample size going.
Mr. 5 Cent spitting some memories. Bell finishing with a blown engine. Blaney running out of fuel. That's a sign of a man who got burned at the end of a track, at the end of a race by somebody running out of gas. That's never fun. All right. Let's get into this breakdown. So we have a general idea of which are some of the drivers that are a little bit better on the road courses. Let's get into the breakdown. We've got win odds now updated right here on the sheet. So actually, let's make this bigger and just get right into it here. So let's start at the top here. Truex originally, I guess, better than now 14-1 odds that he's got going on. Actually, I like to see. You know what?
You saw those historical finishes. He has the 3 top finishes here. So, I mean, going into the week, everyone expected, okay, Truex, right? But a little bit adamant about how, the track's just a little bit different for him now. He said he feels like every lap is a qualifying lap and they're just slip sliding over the place. But the track is also going to change tremendously as more cars get on it. And it's worth noting that I do believe it was Truex, Barry, and the third guy escapes me. There are 3 of them that did the test back here in March. I'm trying to remember who the third one was.
Well, while you're remembering that, more importantly, Truex is starting 21st overall, and we've seen that. Starting 21st, regardless of your win odds, starting 21st is enough place differential if you're finishing in the top 6 or 7 to put up a monster score. So he definitely has to be accounted for, especially when you look at him compared to most of the rest of the higher end expensive drivers anyway, that are kind of starting towards the front. And that makes Truex a really interesting situation, even if the win odds aren't spectacular.
Yeah, it was Chastain. Thank you. So yeah, those 3 have the extra laps. And then also, I guess, Gibbs has laps from yesterday. A lot of lead laps. So getting laps just on this new track is going to be important. It's kind of why I like Gibbs a lot here. We'll get there.
Helps Gibbs. 14-1.
And it will help Truex, but Truex just doesn't seem to to really have a handle on it yet. Like he was in the teens in practice, but he was 20th on the board. Round one of qualifying, it led to that, really mid starting spot, which again, it puts him in play here, but he's like the most expensive guy in the slate, and he's a place differential guy. With it being 110 laps, it's borderline. I'm just not sure with ownership. I'm very uncertain about the ownership projection here. I'm starting to think that people will get away from Truex because, like last week, we saw Hendrick just be surprisingly out of it odds wise, and then like no one played Hendrick people at all, which is a rare sight. This week we're seeing JGR Toyotas have much lower odds than we're used to seeing them. The top teams are Hendrick and Penske. It just seems like very firm Hendrick favorite. Chevy favored heavily at the Toyota 350, which is a little bit ironic. Toyota is actually the least favorite to win just from the manufacturer's odd. So yeah, I could see Truex going a little bit low owned here, but also like surely you play him in cash.
Yeah, 21st overall. It's almost a lock button in cash, no?
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk about Hamlin starting where he started, and of course Buescher core play.
Yeah.
But we're getting to
the Hamlin's always going to be priced down at a road course like this. It's kind of you have to just look at it differently. Because like Reddick should be like one of the highest priced guys here. I think it's just his poor history, or at least his poor finishes here, keeping him down. But usually at these tracks, you see the top three being like Elliott, Reddick, Allmendinger, or Elliott, Reddick, and Truex, something like that. I was surprised to see Byron and Larson put up so high, but then they end up being fast.
I feel like they're reasonably priced, those names that you mentioned, Reddick and Elliott, for how good they are. So, maybe it'll be an interesting build today where you can kind of build with these 9K. Like you don't necessarily need to go all the way up into the 10K zone, but let's continue on. So we got Willie Byron starting 6th overall, 12-1 win odds. Has been okay at these. I think pretty sure his name came up here in this chart of decent.
Well, just look at his finishes at the last 3 road course races.
Well,
just scroll to the left.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
You
Byron.
are a boomer. No. Just go to the DraftKings tab and scroll left. I have the finishes there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
hold on. See.
Look at that.
Races, I
mean, this guy has owned
a runner-up
road courses. It's funny, his name doesn't come up as like this great road course driver person.
No, because if you look before that, he is never really a road course guy. He was good at like the first Roval race, I guess, but really it's just lately that he's kind of come into form there.
Can't ignore a guy.
The big thing is that Hendrick is fast across the board, it would seem. All 4 of the Hendrick drivers made the final round of qualifying. And yeah, they look pretty solid. I would say Larson is like the fastest of all of them for sure, probably followed by Elliott, and then Byron being that third there over Bowman. I think that's a pretty good ranking of all 4 of them. So he's going to be the lower owned option for sure, because Larson's like the de facto favorite, has the good practice times up there. Byron just has that form at the road courses, like recent form. But with his price, I see him being on the lower side of ownership and projections.
Yeah, you've got Larson well higher owned than him. Larson has the better win odds. Larson absolutely destroyed it in practice. But Larson's history in road courses recently,
very
much less good. Yeah, this is very questionable. Any of this is going to destroy any kind of lineup with Larson in it. And literally, if he doesn't win, you're fooked. Yep. Like I would say Larson needs to finish top 5 for sure with some lead laps to be in the conversation today.
Yeah, especially with only 110 laps of Dominator points to go around.
Yeah, he needs to lead and he needs to finish in the top 5. So, be aware, right? Now we got Larson 33% owned.
Yeah, but he's by far the favorite. He's at 5.5. The next closest being, I think, Reddick at like 7. I think a lot of people like to pile on to just whoever is the de facto favorite, but with this race, you can tell just from the odds that Vegas isn't entirely confident about who's going to be leading this thing. I wouldn't be shocked to see Reddick be the favorite after like a few laps, just if he looks fast off the rip.
Let's go.
There's
Now,
a lot
Reddick,
of uncertainty in this market.
let's talk Christopher Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Did not do well in practice at all. Did not do well in qualifying.
Yeah.
He is starting. What am I tripping? What is going on here? Why can't I see this? Yeah, he's starting 15th. Horrible in practice. The win odds, terrible. What happened with him?
Yeah, I think he opened at like 18-1. Now he's 30-1. But he's dominated the last 2 weeks, and he had the runner-up finish to Byron at Coda, which is the only road course he's been to this year.
And he's been pretty good in the past in other road courses, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's got a lot of respect pricing going on for him, but I also don't see optimizers using him. He's kind of like a place differential play, but Truex would be like the better one, and then I guess Hamlin would also be a much better place differential play. So he kind of doesn't really have a spot where he fits in. I think people are just going to be off of JGR this week, outside of Gibbs.
Tyler Reddick, one of those guys that seems to get better on road tracks. Let's show the history.
Guy.
5th, 6th, 8th, 4th, crash, 1st, 8th, 7th, 1st. That is ridiculous. The win odds are 7.5 to 1.
Yep.
Starting second.
Qualifying.
Does this guy dominate this one? Is this the dominator, the early dominator? Who's he passing?
Yeah, because he's up against Logano, and Logano is priced significantly down, as he kind of always is.
Logano is a bar. Well, we'll get to him, but
yeah, it's kind of a coin flip. Stage 1. I'm gonna keep expressing this until Bovada listens to me. Bring back those stage 1 odds. Those were so helpful. I need to get like a hookup from like a Canadian or something that can find me those props, because those are super helpful. But I'd be very interested to see what the stage 1 props are when it comes to Reddick versus Logano here. I think Price Picks absolutely fucking adores Reddick. They're giving him like well over 30 lead laps. Like they give him like 4 times the fast laps of Elliott. So they're just all over Reddick. His history here, if you look, he's not finished, but his average running position versus where he finishes at this track is like the best of anyone in the field, because obviously, like, he was not running 33rd.
It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. This stuff does not matter.
His finishes are disguised, so it's pretty decent. But I don't think he's going to be sneaky one bit. Everyone knows in the next gen car, Reddick is usually the guy to beat at these road courses, because you look at his career. He got into the Cup Series over the last few years, where we've added all these road courses, so it makes a lot of sense for him to be a good road course guy, and he's very talented at them.
Reddick, strong play. Right behind him, though, almost the same win odds, almost the same everything, and almost the same starting spot. Starting 4th is Chase Elliott. This one, you're going to have to choose, or we have seen where multiple of these top 5 starters finish in the nuts, as long as they finish top 2 or 3. So that's what Chase Elliott's going to need to do here. No.
Yeah. And Elliott is basically, Reddick is in the role that Elliott used to be, just the de facto best road course racer, especially towards the end of the last gen of car. He was winning every fucking road course race there was. So his long-term, I think he was number 1 in the field in long-term road course driver rating, laps led, average running position, everything. So over the last year or two in the next gen car, he's not really gotten that win. He's had like top 5s, but his overall form has kind of gotten worse as well. But Hendrick just seems to be on top this week, as far as we can tell. The team as a whole, lightning fast in practice, qualifying, you name it. So with that being said, Elliott has to be the best road course racer in the Hendrick stable. It's just that form for the team is not really there. So that'll explain why odds wise he's underneath like a Larson, but he's still significantly better than like a Byron or especially a Bowman.
And it's still pretty damn good odds, by the way. It's not that
Good
different.
price too.
Yeah, it's not that different, and you're getting a bargain price. Definitely like Chase Elliott here. Denny Hamlin, D.Ham, starting 25th.
25th.
All of the place diff you could ask for, but he's been slow.
His form. Well, he's just never been a road course guy.
Has not had good finishes. I mean, you can go back. I'm just looking at, it's really good. I'm glad to have the research station open because this really tells the tale. I mean,
yeah. In the last gen, he had some good finishes here because JGR was really good at this track, but
acceptable finishes. But yeah, the recent road course, he does have a second place in Watkins Glen. There it is.
Well, and that's been tough sailing for old DM. Now, he could always pull it out.
He'll still be popular, Taco.
This is very much a one thing you got to look at this slate and realize is that this is a pit strategy race. So any of these guys that are starting towards the front or just in very good teams, any of these guys could kind of pull out a strategy move, get lucky on a caution, and just be in a great spot.
Yeah. Explaining what pit strategy is, just, everybody knows, but, in a road track, this being a 2-mile road course, you could pit whenever. You're not losing 5 laps if you just randomly pit. And sometimes you'll see guys that will just not pit. Everybody else does it. And then you get the caution and they went from 28th to first or fourth or something like that, and they can hold on. So play little games with pit strategy because they don't all have to pit. I'm assuming this is why they don't have to pit at the same time because you're not losing a lap. Is that kind of the thing?
Yeah, you're kind of gambling on there being cautions. Also, there's just different strategies. And also, we're getting to the point of the season where points and wins matter a lot. And this is kind of important to look at with these guys. We got to think about who has a win in the bank and who doesn't. Who needs playoff points and who's like securely locked in. So if you're securely locked in, you can shoot for a win and go for example, you could pit in stage 1. We saw this yesterday with Shane Van Gisbergen. He pitted, Ty Gibbs stayed out. Van Gisbergen, he's obviously not as good as like, the best of the best at all the other tracks. There are a bunch of tracks he struggles at, but he absolutely needed to stay out and get those stage points because he's trying to make the playoffs. He didn't know for sure if he's going to win many races. I mean, he's already in the playoffs, but he would obviously want those playoff points. Very important to him. Ty Gibbs, he's going to pit and go for the lead laps in stage 2. He doesn't give a fuck. He's not in the Xfinity series. So with some of these guys, especially the guys right on the cusp of making the playoffs without a win, looking at guys like Kyle Busch, they're getting kind of desperate. Maybe you could throw Buescher in there too, but he seems like he'll probably make it on points. But just something to consider with these guys, they're going to be attacking the race differently than people who have a win in the bank already. If you got a win in the bank, you can go for the win. And those guys are going to be a bit more likely to lead in stage 2. So just important to keep that in mind. So guys like Hamlin, they're locked in. They can kind of do whatever they want. Someone like Chase Elliott's locked in as well as a bad example. But like a Ty Gibbs, for example, he's not that win in the bank. He's probably going to go for one, right? And I think he'll be secure on points. Maybe like there are probably better examples like everyone on the screen right now literally already has like a win. Like Kyle Busch is like the best example of this, right? Or like an Alex Bowman where they don't have the win in the bank. They're going to be running a different strategy than these guys that are already locked in. So just something to consider.
Yeah.
With Hamlin, this is just a pedestrian week for him, right? Like I don't think he cares too much about road courses. to be quite frank. So he just kind of rolls around. Sometimes it works out for him. Sometimes he'll catch a lucky break, but for the most part, he's very much like Harvick, where he's just kind of there.
I'm just going to say this about Hamlin. We'll move on. He's starting 25th, got fairly high ownership, and if he finishes, top 10, he's in that win conversation, and that's about 42 already. So, and we've seen that it doesn't take much more than that. So Hamlin's path to the nut lineup is easier than some of these other guys, even if he's not as good of an actual road course or give a shit guy.
Mm-hmm. No, he's good at road courses and has raced a lot this weekend. His old Ty Gibbs.
He is the man. Starting 10th, super fast, second, third, really fast car. What's not to like about Ty Gibbs? Great finishes in road tracks recently. 9K, priced a little too low. Win odds just okay, but not bad for the price. Certainly good for the
considering the price of the other JGR guys.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
And a little sniff of place diff upside here. Starting 10th, it's a little better than Larson and Byron, who are starting 5th and 6th. He gets a little more leeway there. What's not to like?
He's one of those guys that might be doing some points racing, but I just really like the fact that he raced yesterday and got a lot of laps on the track, even in the Xfinity car. With this being a repave, that's very helpful.
Right, well, he definitely.
I do like Ty Gibbs a lot here.
32% ownership, so it's not sneaky. But I'm seeing a lot of those kind of ownerships. Dinger, almost the same exact thing as Ty Gibbs. Like it's hard.
This range is crazy for value. Dinger's always going to factor in at a road course. So he's always going to get ownership.
Mildly less good in practice. Similar ownership numbers. Really, really great road course history. Has a win in the Roval, right? Coda 6th place. Watkins Glen 4th place. So he's been good.
He's hyper aggressive. So he's just the tournament play. That's all there is to it. You do not touch Dinger and Cash. He doesn't give a shit. He's not full time, so he is going for the win. The only thing he wants to do is win. So
yeah, he does crash sometimes, but
great tournament play.
Not as crashy on road courses. He's a little more crashy in the in some of the other series.
Now, if you go back a bit, he's definitely taken himself and others out of this race just because he likes to. Like if you look at his track history of this track from back when he was a regular.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, you're just going to memories of 2018 and 19. But, recently.
It's still relevant. You got to remember that it's still relevant at road courses more than any other track type, like long-term track type history, as where stuff like short tracks and intermediate tracks, that's obviously not going to matter as much.
Yeah. Dinger fucked me yesterday.
Dude, I wouldn't be shocked. He's, he's an aggressive motherfucker. But yeah, he just strikes me as, play him in tournaments, obviously. Don't even consider him in cash. That'd be crazy.
We've hit the chalk spot.
Yeah.
Chalk alert. Highest owned driver on the track, Chris Buescher, starting 26th, known as a road course maven. Look at this recent road course. I don't
know about maven, but he's just like, imagine if Austin Dillon from the last gen of car was just like a tier better. Austin Dillon always finishes 15th.
Yeah,
he just always finishes 7th to 10th, and we will 100% take that.
This is Maven-esque to me. I say he's a Maven, and it makes sense. His fantasy projection, you've got him projected at finishing 12th, and even with that, he's getting a 45.
The odds are atrocious for a top 10, and I don't like. I don't. It's so weird. I hit up the plus 300. When I opened on like FanDuel for top 10, it's like, what are we doing?
Now it's
why is he plus 300 for a top 10 a road course? Like you can just see he's gonna figure it out.
Yeah, that does look like a bettable spot right there.
It's like plus 200 now at this point, but it's just race management is just kind of what he does. Him and Keselowski, they're great teammates. I like that they're teammates because they both know how to overfinish. Like his average running position in these races are probably like shitty, but he just always finds a way into the top 10.
The big concern here with Chris Buescher is simply being the highest owned guy, you know,
Yeah.
there's always
I
there's
mean,
always benefit to fading the chalk
I
in a
somehow
tournament.
managed to solo bank it with a 72% owned motherfucker in my lineup
Oh, yesterday? Well,
yesterday.
everybody played it was SVG. I mean, you just played him.
Yeah.
That was
And
one of those.
we've seen place differential be pretty safe when they're like a good driver at these tracks, especially when they're starting from like deep in the
Yeah.
mid and they're like good drivers. So
We've
I mean,
got a similar.
Busher's pretty safe.
Yeah, there's a similar kind of. I mean, the thing with Busher is he's just been really good at these, and
Mm-hmm.
it's consistency.
Like,
So
where are the
yeah,
DNFs? They don't even exist.
he's going to want to be somebody that you're considering. Michael McDowell, very good in practice.
Very good at road courses lately. It's just, 3 straight
Some recent
DNFs.
when we
But
go before the DNFs, he was
that
winning. Or
Watkins Glen
dominating?
DNF, like he was dominating the race.
Which one was that?
Watkins
Coda?
Glen.
Oh, Watkins Glen. Yeah, I
Coda,
mean,
he didn't even get a chance to touch the race.
what happened? His car blew up when he was driving out to the starting line. What the fuck is this?
I forget.
39th place? Come on, Michael
It was like a
McDowell. What the
really
hell?
early crash, right? Or no,
Yeah.
his I think he was on the pole, right? And then he just ate shit early.
I mean,
Yeah.
he hit the curve
Kind of
wrong, and
back
that was
there,
the end of
right?
it. Like on the
So
you loaded up on him as your lead laps guy, and then 3 minutes into the race, you were done. All right,
yeah,
go
reminds me of last
barbecue it
week.
Sunday. Put some burgers on the grill. Forget
Mi-
this race.
Reminds me of last week. But so if you look at the team column there, you'll see front row and Penske have the same color because they have an alliance this year. If you look who's on the pole, look who's really fast. Penske, who's been fast this track type recently, and just kind of fast overall this year. At the other places where Penske has been fast, it's been front row.
This is
Yeah,
so nuts, man.
Michael McDowell rates out really well
You
here. It's
you're
just coming
you were
off the
singing
3
the
DNFs. That's it.
you've been singing the praises of Hendrick, but who qualified up front? Who's got all these high
It's
finish
Hendrick
hot
and
guys?
Penske.
Penske, man. Yeah, Penske's
It's
doing it.
nice
So
seeing, because the first half of the season was literally just JGR versus Hendrick every race, and that kind of boring. So, shout out Penske doing better as of late.
McDowell starting 12th. You've got a projected finish 10th, acceptable, very fast in practice. A lot of good things going on here. He will need to squeeze beyond 10th place to get you to the promised land at 8,500. We will need sixth ish, fifth, sixth, seventh, sixth.
He's kind of a leads laps guy. Like it's kind of what he's been doing at the road courses.
I don't know. It's nondescript for me starting here. I'm not sure. I think this is a guy who can lead laps.
He's led a lot of laps at the races recently. Like he dominated Indy and then dominated Watkins Glen as well. Just didn't finish. I mean, he's been doing it, but a lot of that was like off the pole and stuff. But the practice times are there. Penske fast. I don't know. I like him.
And playable. Ross Chastain starting 9th. Super fast in practice. For the best car, really. 10-1 win odds, not bad. Chastain, is he known on road courses? Because I don't really see the history here that's like, oh, play Chastain.
That's because you haven't scrolled to the right enough. So
I don't want to go
2022.
back to like the fucking 80s, man. I'm trying to get
80s. 2022 is the 80s?
Oh, I don't know.
No, we're done with the 90s. But
oh, there we go.
Yeah, in 2022, it was looking like Trackhouse was going to take the world by storm. They wanted Coda. Suarez,
he was winning
Juan,
everything in
Sonoma.
2022. It was just like that was his year.
But you can look at Suarez's teammate too, and they were just like on fire, right? And then 2023 happened, and they were terrible. There's another trend that you'll notice where in 2022, every Toyota was fucking awful at road courses, and then in 2023 they fixed it, and they were all great. Now it's looking like 2022 again. I don't know. We've only had one road course this year, and it was kind of one of the dumber ones. So this is kind of like a we'll see sort of week, as we get into more of the road courses throughout this portion of the schedule. But yeah, I'm very on the fence about Trackhouse here. I spent a lot of time considering last night, but 10-1, 8,300, it's good practice times. Chastain, his form has not been all that great, right? And Coda, a track that he's really, really good at. I think that 7th that he had in the spring was like his worst finish ever there. Yeah, they got that connection with Hendrick. So very similar play to like a McDowell, McDowell has that connection with Penske. Well, Trackhouse got that connection with Hendrick and the Chevys, and the Chevys just look really fast. Like manufacturer odds wise, like Chevy is the heavy favorite. So yeah, I think Chastain and Suarez kind of way into that. And Suarez didn't have the practice speeds, but if you look at the qualifying laps, those times are like right on with each other. He had the third best qualifying lap. Like he was very, very fast from what we can see this week. So I'd be willing to let some recent form slide, but I kind of like all these plays in this range. If you notice, like the 8-9K range, I'm just going to be attacking kind of heavily and foregoing like the 10K guys in a lot of my lineups.
We could probably
You could easily afford these guys because of a certain pole sitter.
I was going to say what's nice is I think we're going to be able to avoid a lot of like the garbage zone.
Mm-hmm.
There are some really interesting play stiff plays coming up in a second, so I want to get to that. But there's so much value here. You're right in this 8, 7, and 9 that we probably don't need to go 5 and too many with the 10K guys. Certainly not more than one of them. So it's going to play very differently than some of these other tracks that we've been just playing recently, where you wanted to squeeze those studs in there. Chastain. So we talked about him. Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez. So Austin Cindric, what's interesting for me, even though he's 56-1, and even though his recent road course history isn't spectacular, the practice time's decent. And he's starting 28th, and that's really great. Let's fucking go. Right?
He's another guy you're going to need to scroll a little bit to the right to see that form. But yeah, he started off. It looked like he was going to be an absolutely immaculate road course racer in 2022, and then he kind of fell off. He'd been an awful stretch of form for like a year plus at this point, and a lot of that is what led to my, I guess, unjust hatred of him.
Yeah, but you know what happened last week? He knocked the stank off last week, Taco.
I know. Does that mean we have to play him every week? I don't know, but
now you go back to him. That's it.
My general rule is I only touch Cindric at the super speedways and road courses.
Well, here we are.
But I like all the plays in this range, so I might just double down on the Austin Cindric hate. But starting 28th in a Penske ride, like, man, that's tough.
Some of these are nuts.
28th in round 1 of qualifying. It's not great.
I'm playing Cindric starting 28th. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
He only needs to get.
Who are we playing Cindric over? Like, I could see playing him over Suarez, sure, but are we playing him over Chastain, McDowell, Busher, Dinger, Gibbs?
I think you got to play them both. And I mean, you didn't even mention Kabush, but like, yeah,
we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm playing fucking Cindric starting 28th, whatever. He only needs to finish, I'm going to say 15th or 14th for him to be in the winning lineup. So that's not asking too much. That's not like super outside of the norm for him. And the practice times kind of imply that is not out of the question. He's that level of speed. Don't love the qualifying slowness. Why this and not that? Don't know, but you got to play.
Yeah, that range of like 26th to 30th is when like the scoring trends have not been really favorable to that range overall. I just didn't like how slow he was in qualifying, I guess. But yeah.
I mean,
I just like a lot of the plays in this range, like to the point where I've got to deselect some people. Like I'm not playing much Suarez, which may bite me.
He's only 7% owned, so classic tournament only play for Suarez.
No, I mean look at his road course finishes and tells me that's not the most GPP shit you've ever seen.
It's horrific.
Literally either wrecks or comes top 5. It's crazy. He's won here.
This defines GPP only. Suarez is playable. He would need to win. He's got a win odds of 29-1. He's got top 5 odds of 5-1. So, 20% chance they're giving him of a top 5 finish. Okay. All right. If he gets it, is he in the nuts? No, he probably needs to finish about 3rd. So good luck with Suarez. He needs to finish really, really well in order to be relevant.
He's got no ownership also.
Yeah, well, there it is. So that's a tournament play, and that's how you win when you're on that, and it works out, right? Blaney, on the other hand, very popular play, 25% owned.
His odds are just good.
Plenty of speed, starting third. And again, this is another one. Decent win odds. He's going to have to finish top 3 in order to be in the conversation, or top 4 to even be in this discussion with some lead laps. But he could certainly do it at 7,800. What's the downside here, Taco?
I'm fading the Blaney.
You're fading the Blaine?
Yeah, look at his road course finishes. It's just
not great.
There's nothing. He's not a road course guy.
Fade the Blaine.
0 top 5s in the next gen car.
He's got a top 3 in the old days.
Penske is fast, but I'm way more interested in Logano. Like way more interested.
Well,
and he's got Reddick in front of him. I don't ever see him passing Reddick.
The guy that has me interested here is Kyle Busch. You don't seem to be high on Kyle. I don't know. What is 7,700 Kyle Busch starting 29th? This one is the one that's popping for me, Taco.
I saw Kyle Busch at 67-1 on Bet365.
Take it. That's odds you want to hit that. He's fast in practice. What is the problem here?
He's fucking losing his sanity. It's very
saying he's having a mental
driving
break.
erratically. Yes, he was going nuts in practice trying to run people over. He's been picking fights with low mid-tier drivers. Like I don't know.
Stenhouse isn't here to fuck with him. Oh, Stenhouse is here.
I think he's going to be low owned, even though he's starting 29th, because I think a lot of people have the same kind of sentiment that I'm picking up here. Is like, bro has everything going for him, right? Like he has like good history here. He has good road course finishes last year. It's just there's something off about Kyle Busch right now. I don't know.
I told you when he said to when he started screaming, "I suck," like when he's in the fight and he's like yelling about himself, like he's not ripping on the other guy. He's not like, "You suck, Stenhouse." He's like, "I suck."
Yeah.
Like what? I mean,
the only places that we've seen him run well at this year has been intermediate tracks. Every time we're at a non-intermediate track, the dude is terrible.
I'm telling you right now, I don't.
His practice speeds are okay.
$7,700 Kyle Busch starting 29th when he only needs to get to 15th in order for us to win the tournament with him in our lineup. Tells me at lower ownership, whatever happens, I'm playing some Busch here.
I just don't think that range of like 25th, 30th is like very good here. It's like one of the lowest scoring buckets historically.
It's because never had KB starting there.
Yeah,
KB. KB, recent road course finishes. I think this is weird sentiment, Taco. Look at his recent road course finishes.
Nice. So why is he 67-1?
Where is the evidence that this guy is not going to finish top 15? Top 15 gets you the nuts lineup, gets you the tournament win.
The evidence is in 6 hours, I guess. I don't know.
Yes.
So I'm not from 6 hours in the future, so
it's 6 hours from now. That's fine. But right now, I don't give a shit.
I don't see his odds are dog shit is the thing.
The odds are terrible. Don't care. Don't care. Something's up. He was fast in practice. He was fine. Starting 29th. Crushed it at road courses. Lower owned.
Yeah.
I'm playing him. But yeah, the odds are weird. And he's probably going to get wrecked by Ricky Stenhouse. Like specifically.
He's starting in the back with him.
Yeah, like those two are going to end up going at it, and we might see the meltdown breakdown of Kyle Busch like in real time. We could see it happen.
I say he runs into someone else.
Alex Bowman starting 8th, nondescript starting point. You know, mixed history and road tracks. What's the story here with Bowman?
He is a Hendrick car. That is why he's 15-1 right now. The second fastest lap time in qualifying round 1, which is intriguing to me. He's just way cheaper than his teammates. Was very good at Coda. Like that was a quality top 5. That was like one of his better races.
Charlotte either. And yeah. I mean, he's done okay at road courses.
Yeah. He's that very nondescript sort of if he would have to finish top 5, and got
That's the
25%
challenge, right?
chance to do it.
You're exactly right. He needs to finish 5th or better, maybe 6th at this price.
He'd probably need to do something. If he was starting a few spots back, I'd be more intrigued. It's just he's not going to rate out well. Yeah, I don't see people use. If people are looking at odds to pricing, I guess would probably use him if they're not using Logano for whatever reason, like they're playing Reddick or something. But or maybe people just going with Hendrick because they're the favorite team by a good amount. But yeah, I definitely have Bowman as the 4th on the totem pole there. Hendrick for sure.
Let's get to one of your favorite guys here, Joey Logano, J-Lo, on the pole, sitting on the pole. You've got him finishing 8th, only 17 lead laps, and scoring 35.
Yeah, he's got Reddick next to him. That's kind of the issue. It's a big issue. Now, the thing is, every time we go to a new track, I remember Bristol Dirt.
Yeah,
did the dirt drivers do well? No, fucking Logano did well. You go to the Charlotte Roval, Logano does well. You go to the LA Coliseum, who the fuck knows what to expect? Apparently Logano, because Logano crushes. I don't know, man. That's a narrative going around, right? But I see another narrative, and that's he's 8.5 to 1 to win currently. Well, on that poll and qualifying, I think it means a lot here. Yeah, him. I can see him leading all of stage 1. But it's really about just who pulls out first. So it's kind of a coin flip between him and Reddick for me. I don't see Blaney doing a whole lot, but maybe I could see Chase Elliott coming from 4th. But I mean, at 73 in lead laps from 7,300, this is like just a nicer version of the McDowell play from last week. There are just less laps to go around. But Logano's just had swag since getting $1 million shoved directly up his anus. Like, he's gotten pretty fast, like everywhere he's gone. Even at places, he's not really supposed to be fast at. So
$1 million. Listen, just know with Logano, like every pole sitter, we're probably not going to get enough.
No, we could absolutely kill you. So don't even consider it. I had someone ask me,
it's a dangerous
one. Absolutely fucking not. But for tournaments, like if you play Logano as your pole sitter and fade Reddick, or maybe you could play them together, but you're probably not playing Reddick if you play Logano. You just play Logano as your stage 1 dominator. You can literally just attack that 9K range, and I really like that lineup construction.
It's the price. 7,300 is crazy low. Although, again, this is not a track. I'm not seeing too much difficulty making lineups and making salaries work. So keeping that in mind, 33% own Logano on the pole.
His finishes at road courses, like he's never historically been a road course guy, but he's racking up the top 10s when he does a rack.
He's been fine.
He's been hanging on. Yeah.
3rd place, 4th place, 5th place, 10th, 11th. I mean, he's been fine.
Yep.
He's been fine. Here's a crash, but no wreck, top 10. No wreck, top 10. Top 10 will not get it done for us today, Taco. We need a top 5.
Yeah.
If he drops anywhere beyond 5th place, there's not even enough laps to lead laps. He'd have to get the fast laps too.
Yep. And he doesn't get fast laps, so that is important to keep in mind. He's even better play on FanDuel. He's like 6'8" or something ridiculous over there.
A couple of newcomers here, Will Brown and Cam Waters. Interestingly, I don't know how they figured this shit out at the odds book, but somehow Will Brown is much, much better projected than Waters.
Look at practice now.
Well, there it is. Okay, well, I do see now where it came from. Will Brown, not bad in practice, pretty quick.
So these guys,
whose cars is he driving?
So these are 3rd entries for RFK and RCR. Everybody wants themselves Shane Van Gisbergen now that Trackhouse gobbled him up because he's obviously killing it all the road courses. So, when we switched to this next gen car a couple of years ago, we found out somewhere along the way this car races a lot like Australian supercars. So let's just poach all of their superstars.
Fuck that shit, man. This is America. You're going to tell me in America
no.
we don't have enough people who could drive a car on a road course? We got to go to Australia to get that? Come on.
Tell everyone the race yesterday that they'd be like,
hell no.
Yesterday, everyone had their babies eaten by dingoes as Shane Van Gisbergen just smurfed on everyone.
Oh, fuck this Aussie shit, man.
Yeah.
America.
America was left in the dust yesterday.
That was brutal.
It kind of is what it is. These guys are very used to this, especially like the Chicago street race. Like, I mean, bro came in, just instantly won his first race. That's when the panic started setting in. So Cam Waters is like good, right? He's like one of the better superstars there, but that car is obviously not good.
RFK did not give him one of their better vehicles, but he is starting 31st, and it wouldn't take that much. And Will Brown is starting 24th, and it will take not that much.
Will at least showed something. I am not touching Cam Waters with a 20-foot pole because I hate first timers generally. Although Cam Waters has raced a truck race at Martinsville for what it's worth, but yeah, Will seems to be the one in the better spot. He actually showed capability to put up some fast laps, so
we might want to let the qualifying lap speak a little bit for itself, though, with some of these guys. And Cam Waters, very slow in practice, not very good in qualifying, so that doesn't bode the best. 150 to 1. Cheaper than him though is his teammate, and this is crazy to me. So Keselowski, who is starting 35th. This is one I think we have to pay attention to. So I want you get me off of Keselowski. Starting 35th. He's known as a guy who's slick, has not done well at all at this track or
this is absolutely not his track type.
Yeah, not at all. So is this it? It's
just Keselowski, like, hey, man,
he's got no
notoriously just chills at road courses. If this thing gets fucky,
he's been okay here.
If this thing gets fucky, him chilling might actually work out great. We've seen that happen a lot.
Dude, he's been okay here specifically.
He's been okay. Starting 35th, we'll take okay. We'll take a top 15.
35th to 15th. That is a 45 pointer, I believe.
Yeah, you're 7K. You're aiming for at least 45. 50 is cool.
40 is supreme nuts.
But yeah, Kez, he's gonna run a different strategy. Obviously, like
I'm not ignoring Keselowski. I don't think he's
gonna win the bank. He can afford to gamble, so big GPP play. But also at starting 35th, he's like, I guess he's a cash game play, but like, man, because he can't really go backwards all that much. I could see him just not giving a shit though. I feel like that's the 40th time I've said that about Keselowski at a road course, because it's kind of just his thing. Him and Harvick usually just chill. Harvick usually sneaks in.
He's gone.
Right, ends up like a top 10, right?
You're living in the past, Taco. You're living in the past. Harvick is gone.
He's forgotten. Whoa. He raced this year. Okay.
He's forgotten.
Still in my heart.
He's dead to me. He's out. He's out of sight, out of mind.
Fuck. Kez might be out of sight, out of mind in this race is the thing.
Let's see here. Yeah, it's hard to ignore a guy starting 35th whose name is Brad Keselowski, guys, who's only 7K. So yes, he's not been great, but I think you got to play some Keselowski here. What's the ownership looking like?
So if you're doing two builds, which I actually kind of recommend, if since we're not really sure if this is going to be a carnage race or not, because we could have all green flag race.
Let's address that for a second. Taco, let's just address that for 1 second. What happened to this track? They repaved it.
Yeah.
So is it slippery? Is it going to cause more spin outs? What happens when it's repaved?
It's very, very slippery, but longer that we drive on it, we had an Xfinity race on it. It's still ever changing. So it's going to be different than what they practice on. But
are they putting any sticky compound down on this thing? Anything like that?
It's a flat track, so no. Maybe add a little.
Saying that as if like everybody. Wait, you're saying as if everybody knows that on a flat track they don't put that sticky.
I wanted to be condescending there. I thought it would be funny. Yeah. So if you're doing the two different build sort of strategy, one for it being a green flag race like last year, and one for there being a giant pileup on a restart like we saw yesterday. Keselowski, you would want way more shares of him in that carnage style. So that's kind of what I was going after there is where you want to not ignore place differential in the green flag scenario lineups, but you definitely prefer the guy starting top 20 there.
This is going to be wide open, man. This is really interesting the way that this track can play out. But we do have a group here of low-owned turds finally that we can maybe speed through a little bit in the discussion zone. So a lot of what we've talked about up till now, Taco, and let me put us back up here. A lot of what we talked about up till now are just a lot of discussion about these 7K to 9K studs all over the place that kind of don't force you to play anybody super cheap.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the ownership projections right now. And what I'm seeing is an entire group here from Briscoe, Gilliland, Hocevar,
all the way down to Gregson.
All the way, really.
You can ignore these motherfuckers.
Whoa, Eric Jones, your boy Eric Jones on the list.
I saw my boy Eric Jones 1,000 to 1. That's how you know it's Jover.
What is happening with Eric
Jones? 1,000 to 1 on, I think it was Bet 365. Like,
is anybody playable? What about Killer Priest?
Hey, I like that play actually.
Gotta get some Killer Priest in there, but for the
most
part,
about who are we playing here in this range, right?
This is a fucking
probably not. If you do feel like stacking Truex and Reddick and Chase Elliott and you need to go punt, there are some guys you can play. I wouldn't feel horrible about playing Barry. Priest.
Yeah, let's just, you know what, the way we're going to treat this whole zone here, as we've taken a lot of time with this breakdown, we're already an hour in. We're gonna treat this whole zone as one. So from Briscoe all the way down to Burton. Just very briefly, I'm seeing ownerships 5, 4, 4, 6, 7, 3, 6, effectively unowned.
Not much going on.
Let me see if there's any play stiff here. So the unowned crew, part of that is they're not play stiff guys at all. They're all kind of starting at a weird place. And then we get to John Hunter Nemechek. So I'm going to skip right from Keselowski. I think that whole zone is kind of weird. And
you got the two teammates, right? The legacy boys.
Yeah, let's talk about the legacy.
Another struggling Toyota team.
This is going to stand out on your standard, like if I'm hand clicking and I see guys starting 37th, guys starting 38th, nowhere to go but up. Names that I'm used to playing. We don't have any history for John Hunter Nemechek. Like Coda, I guess he finished 22nd. Not horrible.
He raced yesterday. That's a plus in my book.
Got some experience yesterday. Horrific in practice. Yep. Horrific in qualifying. Are these guys too turdly to really mean anything on this track? Like, what? They're not going to be owned.
So Eric Jones, yes, unfortunately. I love you, Eric Jones. We have an understanding, though. Your back's still sore. I understand. Terrible. God awful at road courses recently. I get it. You don't have to be good at every track type. I'll see you at the next large oval. I'll be all over you. Don't worry. But definitely taking a week off from my boy Eric Jones. This is not a spot where you want to be attacking the very back of the field. But if you are, I like John Hunter. He's solid. He was good at road courses in Xfinity. Like, solid. He can get it done. So yeah, Nemechek would be right there with Kez in the if shit goes down, play these guys as like just really deep place differential. But when we were going through the optimals, did you see any very deep place differential do anything? Not really.
That was not it was not what was doing well here. But we also know that it wasn't particularly terrible either. Like
it was really just the good drivers that started in the rear for whatever reason that did well. Usually, if you're qualifying the rear at a road course, you're there for a reason. You're just gonna be chilling. So that's why this range overall is pretty lame. But luckily, we don't really need to go down this range much at all. You can take a wild shot at John Hunter and maybe he could be that play stiff guy, but I'm almost more interested in Priest, Barry, and surprisingly Zane Smith.
Well, Killer Priest, you said it before, when the shit goes down, you better be ready. And Killer Priest, starting 30th, has had good road track finishes.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
And they're real, too. He's actually a solid road course driver.
Yeah. Not really reflected in the odds, but he's starting nondescript.
Now
30,
his
30th.
odds have been horrible ever since the SHR news, but like he's done fine. He's done fine regardless of his odds.
And
Barry
right,
has
Josh
better
Berry
odds, but
starting
he has
32nd.
he has zero experience in the Cup Series at road courses. So I'd be very hesitant to use Barry, even though he certainly has like the best equipment of anyone in this entire range.
I see you've got them projected fairly low. I don't think the optimizer is going to shove these drivers up our ass. Per
Good.
se. What's
Good.
that?
That's a good for me.
Yeah.
Hopefully don't use any of these fuckers.
Yeah, it's not gonna shove them up our ass too much. So, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having a little bit of exposure to some of these guys.
Yeah, Gregson, Zane Smith, those guys were fairly fast in practice. Austin Dillon's the one where I'm like, okay, no, bro. If he beats me, that's fine, whatever. Gregson's odds are interesting, and I guess it's because of that really good practice session, but he didn't really follow it up in qualifying. And that's kind of what I want to see to like verify that you're like really fast. I want you to be good at both of those. I mean, 19th.
If he was too good at qualifying, we weren't going to play him
Cool.
because he's too fucking starting too high. At least now you get him at 19th. So
Yeah.
you know,
he doesn't have as much experience also, I guess.
I think it's Barry who's popping as well.
He just has like no cup laps at all.
What?
No, that's important. No, there's no so what. It's a bad take because road courses is all about reps. All about reps.
Well, then Nemechek having driven this thing yesterday maybe helps, but
yeah,
you know who does have reps? Killer Priest. Why not?
Yep. Priest. The
problem with Zane Smith and these other guys is
starting never have to go down to these guys. Yeah, Zane. It's just Spire appears to have speed. LaJoy starting a little too high. Zane actually like pretty good. Like his Coda run was like really, really good. And he was top 20 in both the qualifying and the practice. I think he's the only one that has that besides Gregson. And
let's take a quick just take a quick glance at your notes here. Yeah, and you did already point out that Nemechek was probably the better kind of play from this zone. So
yeah, that's the YOLO deep 3-pointer kind of play.
And of course, Keselowski being sort of very, very cash viable as well. So that's popping. Logano, Kyle Busch, of course. Cindric, can't ignore him starting 28th. And then, pretty much reads like what we just discussed. So, Taco, any final thoughts on this track? Let's should we see if Brady has any unusual standout things happening here?
I think he's with me on Ty Gibbs.
Keselowski.
He likes Eric Jones.
Briscoe, that's the shocker.
I think he's incorrect.
On which one? On Briscoe?
No, on Eric Jones. No, Briscoe. Interesting.
Brady a little bit higher on the turd zone here than you guys. You're gonna need to coordinate this shit beforehand.
I don't know. We'll see who's right.
But, 5 stars on Eric Jones. Wow.
Yeah, I think that's ridiculous. But I mean, I just saw him at 1,000-1. If I see you at 1,000-1, that's I know it's over.
Briscoe's the one that bothers me the most. Is he good at this kind of?
So Briscoe has shown upside. Like he almost won in Indianapolis before he went full.
Not gonna ignore it.
But no, the thing with Briscoe is that he's a maniac. And in the bad way. Like he takes himself and others out regularly because he's just impatient. So that's kind of, and yeah, starting 23rd. He's not been able to like finish races like much at all. But yeah, he does have like a GPP shot. I just didn't really see anything from like practice or qualifying that would suggest he's all that great this week.
There we go. And of course, the win pick, the Brady win pick of Ty Gibbs with all that practice from yesterday. We'll see how that benefits him.
I picked Ty Gibbs and then immediately wanted to switch it to Bell, but then I didn't, and then it didn't end up mattering because Bro's engine died on the last lap. This week for the win pick, I would not recommend tailing this win pick because this is not a very good race for that just overall. But you know, I say, man, this is tough. I think I can pick anyone besides Larson, right? Because the odds are really spread.
Yeah, I would say anybody's fair game here. You don't, I hate taking anybody under 10-1 as a win.
There's
pick
so
in
many of them this week. You know what? Give me. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna heat check it, bro. It's a heat check. Joey Logano.
J-Lo
J-Lo.
to win the whole thing?
Dude, he's got that swagger, bro. I think he can do it. Number one pit stall.
He's got that boom, boom swagger. I don't, I was going to say, I was going to speak the.
Were we going Black Eyed Peas for a minute?
Yeah, I was going to speak it, and I realized I don't know the words to it. So I can't do it. Sorry.
I would have done the ad-libs at least.
Yeah, no, I just, he's got that boom, boom. What? I don't know. All right. Yeah, Logano 8.5. I don't love the juice there.
No, but it would still be shocking to see someone at 7-3 win, right? Like that's bold enough.
I don't mind the Gibbs call at all. I don't mind the Gibbs call, but I always like Dinger. Dinger is going to be my fun time.
Ooh, yeah, here. That is good. Dinger.
Yeah, it comes.
Where is SVG? I guess he's not allowed to race this one or something because I feel like, I had to look at it 3 times. Like, oh, I guess SVG ain't racing.
Yeah, what the hell? What's up with that? Isn't
all the other Australian supercar motherfuckers are here?
Like they're like, yeah,
you against his boys. I don't know. He probably had his contract. He's only racing like certain races or whatever.
It's very surprising that he's not racing today, especially since he raced yesterday and he looked so good. And that's bizarre. But
yeah, this slate would be totally different as racing. But hey, we'll see. We'll see at Chicago for sure.
Yeah. All right. And well, that's going to do it, Taco. Race is at 3:45-ish or so. Any weather concerns or anything like that we need to worry about?
It's beautiful. Beautiful
That's California
weather.
No delays.
Good weather,
no issues.
Good weed, hot bitches. What more could you ask for?
Let's see here. Actually, let's do this. You know what? Let's do one last little thing while I have you here.
Oh, gosh.
Why not throw a little lineup together for those people who stuck around? Let's make a safety lineup, Taco. Because where's your first button click as you're looking through this group?
Busher.
All right. You start off with Busher.
You said safety. I'm like, all right.
The chalk, right?
Literally refuses to DNF.
I'm playing Kyle Busch.
And with that, I'm out.
You don't like Kyle Busch.
That's the opposite of safety, but hey, you know what?
Oh, you're saying I don't mean
a cash lineup. That's what I'm confused about here.
Yeah, I mean, let's call it cashy, but not. This is for a small tournament, right? A small tournament. I never. Yeah,
you will need DOMs in, right? Because in cash, I'm just going straight place differential.
But you needed both. No, not pure cash. You want to play a little. I just kind of want to show you could play studs, good drivers, and never have to go down to the turd zone. That's kind of where I'm getting at.
Oh, yeah. Now we're just annihilating the 9K range. Like, we're throwing Gibbs in that bitch. We're throwing...
Yeah. I need one more
Dinger.
Sort of cheaper guy. I think it's
Sandrick.
How about...
Yeah, too much place differential, though. Honestly.
This is already enough, right? So, Chastain.
There you go. Chastain is looking good.
Ty Gibbs is great. Fine. How much? 9,400 left. Get you Chase Elliott or D. Ham. Either way. But I don't have as a dominator.
Too much
no, so we got to switch it up here, right? So from here, now I realize I don't have Logano, right? And Logano is also really great play at 7,300. So we switch up.
You could have Chase as your early down. Start second row.
I would need to go up to Chase. Yeah, I mean, that could work too. Chase gets there.
Something like that.
Chastain gets there at some point. But what you can see, this is more an exercise just to see that you don't really necessarily need to dive down here too much.
No, mid-range on fire this week.
Mid is fire.
Like the higher mid-range.
It's going to be hard to
mid-range and lower, just you don't really need it.
I'm going back to Wendy Brown's question. I cannot identify, and I like to go all in. And Taco, you tell me, I like to go all in. I like to identify an all-in play or something that I'm comfortable
I like to go all in when there's certainty. There is not much certainty
Yeah, I'm
this
not
week.
feeling
It's
it
not as
here.
bad as last week at Gateway, but it's still tons of uncertainty. And also, I'm running two completely different domination station runs.
The Carnage
Combining them.
run.
I'm doing the Carnage and I'm doing the green flag,
I'm
right?
leaning a little Carnage here. I'm
Oh
leaning
yeah,
a
I'm
little
doing
bit.
like 60% Carnage,
Yeah,
40% green flag.
I'm leaning it. As far as an all-in play, I cannot identify one. So for Wendy Brown, what's up, Wendy? I'm gonna say probably 45%. I don't see going higher than that. What do you
Yeah, I
think,
was
Todd?
about to say 50. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Really 40, and then like with manual exceptions,
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
You don't want to get crazy. I'm probably going 2 uniques this week. I think it's just more wide open than I'm used to for NASCAR race, and maybe that'll benefit. Maybe it'll create a little more spread. But it feels a little more wide open than what I'm used to on these. So
based all in on Reddick. I like
yeah, I mean that's badass. But, and I would say this also: if you're doing 20 man, I'm running. I've got I while we were doing this actual breakdown, I was able to and by the way, total ownership. So let me just show you the trick for this, Wendy. And this is great. I love these questions. Great for the end of a live stream because we can actually answer questions in real time. But what I do is this, and I don't know what the total ownership needs to be initially because I don't really know what the chalk ownership is. So I'm going to run a bunch of lineups right now, and I'm now going to sort by total ownership so I could see what the chalk looks like. Right? And it looks like 191% owned. That's a nice, pretty fucking good looking lineup, Taco.
That's why I don't mess with the max ownership. I could see it being useful in other sports, but
it's generally useful because
if I'm running 150, why would I not want to run that lineup?
Because it's going to be too chalky anyway. It ain't winning. Like the most obvious lineup is not winning. That's why. So if we should do the science of it for NASCAR, we have
kind of fallacy because I don't think the chalkiness in DFS changes anything about like the actual outcome of the race. Like
if you look at winning lineups and you want to replicate what they look like,
yeah,
there's always a low owned surprise in it. And if you make lineups that don't have that,
that's fair enough.
It just doesn't win tournaments, and we can let's study.
Yeah,
this.
You're not leveraging shit on this, so I understand.
Yeah, there's just like what about this lineup is going to. So this lineup, you're in a group of 50 that ran this. That's why
a pretty damn good chance to cash.
Oh yeah, I don't care about cashing. We're in a tournament. We're trying to win. So this is about
cashing.
Your 50 cent. Let's put it like this: if I'm going up against 50,000 lineups with this one. Super obvious. All the chalkiest of chalk. This is a great cash lineup, by the way, or a potential one, but it's too chalky. So you come in and you say, yeah, Mr. 5 Cent's been back testing it. He's getting 90 to 110%. So like this is something that we can back test and see. But I found that yes, you do need to lower the max ownership. It will eliminate some of the most chalky lineups. So for me, if I saw,
wish you could do that in most lineups, but not all lineups.
Well, it's
not just abusing chalk, but
if you want to just run some chalk, what I would suggest is you take this lineup, for example, and instead of putting it into something crazy, you put it in the 4th gear, a contest with only 600 entries, or a 100 entry contest, or you can use this option, which will force a driver under 10%. This track is difficult, man. The under 10% owns are really kind of ugly.
Yeah, that's the problem. I kind of almost don't like forces. That's where I use the shitter rule with the forced mins.
You could
I guess
do that.
That's kind of what I do with that.
I would just suggest this: if you see it at 190, you just and what I do is I'll scroll down and look at some of these numbers: 180, 187, 186, and you could see here my first basically 50 lineups are all very close together at this between 190 and 170. So I might just say, you know what, just to get some of the frothiness out of there, let's set a max here for the run of 180 or even 170 if we want to get even further away from that chalkiness. And we'll just run it again. And you're going to see here, like if I set it at 170, most of the lineups are going to be like 170, 169, 168. That's how. One thing about NASCAR is the ownerships are really similar. Like it's not as differentiated as other sports. Like basically everybody's 30% owned. You know what I mean? Like you look at it and it's like, man, outside of a couple chalk, everybody's fucking 30, 32, 31, 30. It's so
in
close.
Cup Series especially, you don't get those crazy chalks like you get in trucks and like what was SVG yesterday? 72%.
You know what it did when I wanted to remove the chalk? It just started forcing Will Brown and everything. So
oh my god.
Yeah, it's like look at what happened when you did that.
That's why I never touched that option.
Yeah, I mean, so understand it's dangerous. I probably wouldn't go, you know.
I put a lot more effort into the min and max exposures. Like I just go down per person and just do it that way.
I do a lot
with the
of course,
rule.
That's the prime thing that I do when I'm optimizing as well. It's just let me just control for exposures. And back to Wendy's question earlier about exposures. Most races I don't allow more than 38 to 40% on any one guy, except for those two kind of like all-in spots that I like to pick that I might go 65 or 70% on, but I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling a 70%er.
No.
At all.
Maybe Busher.
Nope. I don't want to.
Busher.
Nah. I'm not just going over the chalk on him just because. I'm not. No, I'm going to keep him just for me. I'm going to just keep him where he is. Like I'm not feeling it. So it could be fine, but I think I don't want to. A guy who's already 45% owned.
I agree, it's lame. It's like going all in on SVG yesterday.
I did have all in on SVG yesterday.
Well, must have done all right.
No, I didn't. I had a lot of dinger. And a lot of the other. Yeah, it didn't work out. I didn't max it out though. I only made like 5 lineups yesterday. Here, while we were on this, I got the 50 cent. I'm like, oh, there's 150, and oh, there's $1 or 170, and oh, there's a 4 and a 5. It's a lot of lineups today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's wrap it up there, Taco. Great breakdown once again, guys. Of course, you stayed with us till the end. Hit the like button. We love you guys. Everybody here, most DFS Army subscribers, we love and appreciate you all. We love seeing those helmets at the top of the leaderboards. Remember to have your DFS Army avatar on your Draftkings account, so that when you take a tournament down, we can send you some swag. DFS Army swag's the shit.
Yeah.
T-shirts, sweatshirts. Rock the brand.
I got my DFS Army underoos on.
Yeah. Oh, you kidding me? I got a jersey. Got the hoodie. I can't wear the hoodie now. It's winter. It's summertime, but rock the hoodie. It's so comfortable. You almost want to wear it in the winter.
It's an actually good one. I was shocked that it wasn't some.
No, I don't play games. You know how many different t-shirts, like how many samples I get before we print up some swag.
It's good shit.
I'm all about comfortable clothes. I can't wear it if it's not comfortable. So I don't deal with like those t-shirts that are uncomfortable, any of that. I should be rocking my swag, but hit the like button, subscribe. We are about to start best ball season. There's here on the DFS Army YouTube channel as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. Starting next week, I'm going to be coming in doing some live stream best ball drafts on Underdog and Draftkings. Going through some rankings, all that stuff. Get everybody prepped for fantasy football season. So that's coming right around the corner. And of course, we've been destroying NASCAR all season long. You look at the winner leaderboard. So hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. We hope you'll check out DFS Army. Maybe give us a subscription. And good luck today. Let's see you guys on the top of the leaderboards. Good luck, everyone.
What the